Well, it's that time of weekend. Thank you one and all again for tweeting your questions for this weekly Q&A video. We shall have some fun, shall we? Maybe, hopefully. Sure, what the hell, why not? I'm going to go ahead and get started. Just a quick reminder though, if you enjoy anything that you see on this channel, make sure you subscribe. And if you want to participate in the weekly Q&A videos, the best way to do it is to follow me on Twitter. Information in the description box below. Let's go ahead and kick this bad boy off. Keys10 asks, how ugly will the next NFL strike get? I believe that's coming up, in 2021? I have to assume that it's going to be ugly. It's going to have to be really, really ugly. Because I cannot imagine this time that the players are going to cave so easily like they did in 2011. I think this time is going to be different. I think this time they are actually going to put up a united front. I think this time they might actually show some damn discipline and self-control and try to exercise some of the leverage that they have. And it's funny, picking sides of millionaires going up against billionaires, but nonetheless, they're going to be fighting against the league wanting to expand the season and not pay the players anymore. The players are going to want to get a larger piece of the pie, and they're going to want guaranteed contracts. And I can't imagine it's going to go well. I can't say it will go so far as to lose a season. I would certainly hope that everybody involved wouldn't be stupid enough to do that. But you could potentially lose a few weeks. You could potentially lose a few games. I think that is certainly a possibility. At least the length of time that you had in terms of lost games in 87, maybe slightly more than that. I could say maybe up to 6 to 8 games lost in the season, perhaps. And then he also asked, is Chase Young a better prospect than the Bosa brothers? I am not ready to make that determination just yet, but that certainly is going to be a popular conversation to have in the months to come, that is for sure. Dave asks, if Mitchell Trubisky keeps sucking, what should the Bears do in the offseason? Admit their mistake, say, oh shit, we don't have a quarterback still, and then figure out what they need to do to go find one. The worst thing they could do is to sit there and say, well, we still got him under a rookie contract for 1 more year, and if we pick up his 5th-year option, 2 more years, so let's give him another chance and see what he's got, and let's try and make it to where we don't look as bad. All you do, if you get through this year and you have any thoughts or feelings that Mitch isn't the guy, then Mitch isn't the guy. He's not going to show you anything more in the next season or two that's going to change any of that. In fact, it's only going to get worse. So they have to go get a quarterback. Whether that's a veteran or whether that's drafting one, probably a combination of both. You cannot submarine this organization for the next few years by stubbornly clinging on to the pathetic hopes and aspirations that Trubisky's going to do anything other than suck as an NFL quarterback. Peter Jedra asks, should the Jacksonville Jaguars go back to Foles once he is ready to play? I think the simple answer is no, as long as Minshew is playing at a decent level. If your team is in the mix and Minshew is still trotting out with some Minshew magic and he's keeping you in the fold, then there is absolutely no reason to go with Nick Foles, because at this point in time, with some of what you may feel that Minshew has shown you, you are trying to make a determination, long-term call for the organization, whether he could truly be that dude or not for you. Benching him for Nick Foles accomplishes none of that. Benching him for Nick Foles at this point in time would seem like a horrible exercise in stupidity and futility. So no, they should not go back to him. Unless Minshew starts to really stink up the joint, then that's a different story. Georgian Fulia, what team do you think should sign Cam Newton? My goodness, that is an excellent question. What team should sign Cam Newton? I wonder who would be interested in him. To me, that's a legitimate question. Who would actually be interested in him? Surely some of you are going to say the Bears, but I just can't really see it, although stranger things have happened, sure. Nobody in the NFC West. Maybe Tampa Bay. Cam at his best is much better than Jameis at his best, so Maybe Tampa Bay would want to take a stab at Cam Newton, keep him in the division. He gets to face Carolina twice a year. That might be one option. You're going to say the Bears again, but I don't see the fit. Like in terms of all the NFC teams, the Buccaneers seem to be the most logical fit. Then you go to the AFC. You would assume John Elway is going to be a player because instead of drafting and developing a guy, he's always going to try and seem to go off of the scrap heap for somebody else's quarterback. Maybe the Jaguars, but I doubt it. Maybe the Titans, but again, I doubt it. Like, to me, the most logical destination for him right now, if he wasn't going to stay in Carolina in 2020 and beyond, might be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Marcus Money 217. Did the Bengals, now he said Bengals, but I have switched that for him to the Bengals. Did the Bengals screw up Andy Dalton and screw over Andy Dalton by benching him at the trade deadline? I mean, team's 0-8. He sucked. Andy Dalton screwed Andy Dalton, and I feel absolutely no sympathy for him whatsoever. Was he really going to be that much better with A.J. Green in the lineup the first half of the year? Probably not. Let's just keep it real. So I wouldn't say they screwed him over. And it might be indicative of the fact that everybody knew he sucks and nobody wanted him. I have to own up to that. Nobody wanted him. That's why they benched him, as they should have, because they're out of it. So why not find out what the Finley kid has? In a hypothetical situation, the Bears have the number 1 pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. Who would you take? Tua, Herbert, Burrow, or Chase Young? Damn. Really, really, really good question. I don't know yet. Because while you say, well, the simple solution is why don't you just take one of the quarterbacks, whoever wants the best quarterback, and that might be so. But if there is such a significant gap between Chase Young as a player and any of these young quarterbacks as a player and their prospects and potential, Chase Young's going to be incredibly appealing, especially thinking about putting him in that defense on the other side of Khalil Mack. Now you want to talk about something scary. This is going to be Von Miller, Bradley Chubb in Denver, but potentially a little bit better. You can maybe find a functional, serviceable quarterback a little bit later in the draft. And that's the thing for the Bears, is if they had the number 1 pick, does it automatically have to be a quarterback? I don't know that it would have to be. Now, ideally, you would want it to be, but it might be really hard to pass on somebody that's a special talent like a Chase Young. Paulie Paul asks, who is the worst organization, the New York Jets or the Washington Redskins? Oh, this is the Redskins, and it's not even close. The Jets stink as an organization in general. And their leadership were idiots. They were absolute idiots for hiring somebody else's fired waste of a failure of a head coach in Adam Gase. But the Washington Redskins are a special level of incompetent. And if you didn't have the Browns around all these years to call them the skid marks of the National Football League, the Redskins would be one of those teams chasing down that title. Because they stink. Washington's football team is terrible. Bruce Allen is horrible. And Daniel Snyder, as an NFL owner, is all types and levels of incompetent. The Jets stink, but they do not Washington football team stink. Space Godzilla. Is Mitchell Trubisky the worst Bears quarterback bust of all time? No, that is Cade McNown, and that's not close. Trubisky sucks, but he's not Cade McNown bust, drafted in the first round in 99, sleeping around with fucking Tim Couch's girl, sitting there and doing all types of dumb crap and then getting cut before his 3rd season even started. At least Trubisky was the starting quarterback last year and helped lead the Bears to the playoffs. Cade McNown is by far the worst quarterback bust in Bears history. Stefan W. One player you'd like to see come out of retirement and play in his prime in today's NFL. One player. If it was in a Bears uniform, Walter Payton. If not him, Dick Butkus. If I was talking about general, overall, just sheer entertainment value, sheer must-see TV, Barry Sanders. Late Bird. Which defense is more legit, the 49ers or the Patriots? The Patriots have played a lot of crappy teams, and their defense is still outstanding. The 49ers defense is also outstanding and legit. I think when you talk about what defense is more legit, you have to factor in the coaching and the play calling of the defensive side of the ball, and you have Bill Belichick. That's a significant advantage over pretty much anybody in the league. So it's got to be the Patriots. Tom Volpe, should Adam Gase be fired at the end of the season? The correct question is, should Adam Gase have ever been hired in the first place? The answer is no. Should he be fired if this continues? Absolutely. Chris Joseph, will the Browns regret trading Kevin Zeitler? Now, you traded him as what, part of the Odell Beckham Jr. package? Was Zeitler going to play left tackle? Obviously, the offensive line is a big concern for the Browns, but at the same token, you would hope you could trust your organization enough to be able to find interior offensive linemen to where you could package one of them up that you had signed in free agency to go get a big-time difference maker on the outside like Odell Beckham Jr. That's what you would think. I mean, that's what you would think. So I don't know that they'll regret it. I think they'll regret not doing more to address the offensive line overall. Matt Fevish, should the NFL expand the playoffs to 14 teams? I think I would be okay with this. Wouldn't add any additional weekends to the playoff schedule. Give you one more team in. Means only one team in each conference gets a first-round bye. Really gives an additional advantage not only to get home field throughout the playoffs, but you get a week of rest where everybody else has to play that wild card weekend. So if that happened, I would be okay with it. When you start talking about 16 teams, I think that's where it starts to lose me just a little bit. Tim Dragon Kid, is it safe to say Daniel Snyder has placed a curse on the Redskins? He is the curse and the stain on that Washington football team. He is the curse and the stain. So he didn't place one on it. He is it. He's the living, breathing, walking personification of it. Kyle Garner, are you surprised by the Colts' success this season? And is Jacoby Brissett the long-term guy? You know, things are looking kind of good for Jacoby Brissett right now. I think so. He's trending in the right direction that he could be the long-term guy. Am I surprised by the Colts' success this season? Not so much. I thought they were a playoff team this year. And you look at that team and you see, still a lot of good pieces in place. And Frank Reich is a really, really good quality NFL head coach. So no, I'm not really that surprised at all. Brian Simmons, who is the team that is best built to take out the Patriots? Team best built to take out the Patriots. Great question. In the AFC, there aren't many. In a playoff situation, the Chiefs, because of Mahomes and their ability to put up a ton of points, they would have to outscore the Patriots because they're not stopping them. But you have Mahomes, you have some of the explosive playmakers on that offense. The Chiefs could potentially go into Foxborough and outscore. That's one team. That's about it for me in the AFC. In the NFC, the team that I feel like is the most balanced, the most complete, the team that could give them the most trouble might be the Saints. Because you can get pretty close to matching up with Brady with Drew Brees. And the Saints can run the ball. They've got even more dynamic running game with Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray's their 1-2 combination. You got Michael Thomas. You got some studs on the defensive side of the ball as well. I might go with the Saints right now as the team in the NFC most likely to be able to beat them. Aliciousness. Should Adam Vinatieri be a first ballot Hall of Famer? Yes. Because he's so above and beyond any other kicker in NFL history. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer. The clutch kicks, the clutch Super Bowl kicks at that, yes. The length of time, just yes. Well, it was a piece of crap crock that Morton Anderson had to wait so long to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Adam Vinatieri should be in the first ballot. And Mike Schmidt closes us out by asking, how much stock do you put in Pro Football Focus in their rankings? I think they're mostly bullshit. I think they tell one part of a story, and I don't think it's okay to totally dismiss them. I don't think they're the be-all, end-all. To me, I compare the analytics of Pro Football Focus to something similar to credit reporting agencies, in that they rate you and evaluate you off of your credit worthiness and your trust factor and your ability to repay and so forth. Try to paint a picture, but it's not always the most accurate and complete picture. It lacks key context. It lacks things that could be reflecting as trade lines that would make your story better or worse depending on your individual history. And all the while, they give you some general type of guidance as to how the scoring is done, but they don't specifically spell it out. They say, well, it can be up to this percentage, deals with your utilization rate and your payment history. But there's no definitive answer that the bureaus proactively, consistently put out there for public consumption. And to me, that's kind of like Pro Football Focus. Sometimes I look at their grading, and they were a 85 here, let's say as a run defender, a 65 in pass defense. So their overall grade was a 90. How the hell does that make any sense? It's like professional wrestling on all these nerds with their star rating systems. And all of these matches are like 3 to 4 stars out of 5, and yet when they get to the end of it, they give the show a damn 9 out of 10. That doesn't make any mathematical sense, assholes! So no, I don't think Pro Football Focus should totally be dismissed. I also don't think they are the be-all, end-all. They are just one part that helps tell the overall story. Great question. And great questions from a lot of you this week. And thanks to you guys for submitting your questions. I'll be back again with more content to come in the week ahead. So stay tuned for all that.